The man picked up a nasty-looking gadget and pointed it at the priceless golden egg. As smoke began to billow from the egg, it melted into a pool of chocolate right before everyone's eyes. The curator was stunned. The alarm blared, and the female police captain immediately ordered a lockdown. The culprit, Nolan, turned and ran, with John hot on his heels. Nolan quickly changed his disguise and tried to blend in with the crowd, but the female police captain was waiting. Nolan threw a smoke bomb and disappeared into the chaos. John, being too bulky, was left behind. Meanwhile, Nolan had shaken off the security guards, but as he thought he had made his escape, he saw John pointing a gun at him. Nolan tried to talk his way out of it but had no choice but to surrender. As he was about to hand over his bag, the female police captain arrived. Seizing the opportunity, Nolan attacked, but John fought back, grabbing Nolan and jumping out of a window. They slid down a pipe until John got the upper hand. Seeing no other way out, Nolan jumped off a wall and landed perfectly. John followed suit, but Nolan managed to escape on a motorcycle. John got into a sports car and gave chase. 2 days later, Nolan returned to his villa, but John was waiting for him. A SWAT team stormed the building and Nolan was arrested. He couldn't understand how his location had been revealed. John explained that it was the bishop who had provided the information, as Nolan was one of the world's greatest thieves, and the bishop, being even more skilled, had betrayed him out of competition. Before transporting it, John placed the golden egg in the car, but as soon as he left, a police officer switched the egg with a fake. The next day, as John was about to leave, the female police captain suddenly appeared and smashed the golden egg in front of him. John was completely baffled. Moreover, the female police officer told John that a huge sum of money had appeared in his account, making it seem like he was guilty. Just like that, John was sent to prison. Unexpectedly, his cellmate turned out to be Nolan. What a small world. At mealtime, Nolan told John that each of the 3 golden eggs was worth a 300 million commission. One was stolen by the bishop, another was in an arms dealer's vault, and the whereabouts of the third were unknown. Nolan then began to boast and brag. This angered another prisoner who challenged John, but John, not wanting to cause trouble, was knocked out. The guards fired their guns and took both of them back to their cells. Soon, they were taken to the warden's office, but it was the bishop who met them. The bishop explained how she had framed John and revealed that only Nolan knew the location of the third egg. She had promised Nolan a 30 million reward upon completion. However, Nolan pretended not to understand. The bishop left, instructing the guards to take good care of them. So they were assigned to do hard labor. Nolan wanted the golden eggs, and John wanted to clear his name. The two formed a temporary alliance, and their immediate goal was to escape. They placed soap in nitric acid cleaner, added a bottle cap, and put it into a pressure wave machine. They then activated the machine. When the guards heard the noise, they rushed in and started fighting with them. The two displayed excellent teamwork. After dealing with the first wave of guards, they escaped through a hole in the wall that they had previously dug. Nolan pulled out a small stone, and the entire wall collapsed. Unexpectedly, the entire prison was built on a cliff, with a sheer drop on the other side. As the guards chased them along the cliff edge, they managed to reach a sentry post. John knocked out a guard, then used his gun to hold off Nolan, while he used a snowball to knock out the helicopter pilot. After taking control of the helicopter, John and Nolan fought off more guards and used a gun to shoot down the lock on a large gate. But just as John was running towards the helicopter, a cannonball came flying towards them. John grabbed a rope and hung in midair. Nolan used the machine gun to shoot at the guards, while John jumped onto the helicopter. Just as Nolan was boasting, another cannonball came flying towards them. John quickly opened the door, and the cannonball narrowly missed them. In the end, they managed to escape. They then went to the arms dealer's house. Seeing the bishop there, John revealed himself and threatened to arrest her. While the two men danced around the arms dealer, the bishop's henchman put down his glass and moved closer to the bishop. Seeing that he had the arms dealer's attention, John no longer lingered and left. Nolan took the cup with the fingerprint, and John managed to steal a phone. They sneaked into a secret room, used the fingerprint to unlock the phone, obtained the dynamic password, and then used face-swapping technology to complete the unlock. When they entered the secret room, they found the bishop waiting for them. The three of them stood in a standoff. The bishop raised a long spear, and John responded with a shield. Nolan saw a revolver nearby and joined the fight. Outside, the arms dealer, having learned about the treasure, immediately arrived with his men. Inside, the bishop ordered her men to capture John and Nolan. Nolan tried to run, but was caught by the bishop. The arms dealer arrived, and it turned out that he had made a deal with the bishop. They were going to search together. When they woke up, they were tied together. The bishop used a stun gun on John to threaten Nolan. In a moment of desperation, Nolan confessed that the third golden egg was in the Egyptian pyramids. The bishop fainted, and the arms dealer killed the henchman and left. Soon, the arms dealer woke up and started shooting. However, due to blurred vision, he shot his handcuffs, freeing John. John knocked him out, and the two escaped. They climbed up a ladder, but it turned out to be a bull ring. They looked at the scene below and felt a sense of relief. They knew the bulls had poor eyesight, but they could sense movement. Nolan assured John that as long as they didn't move, they would be fine. After getting up, they managed to escape and finally climbed over the fence. Nolan confessed that the address he had given the bishop was fake. Nolan claimed to have found a set of coordinates on his father's watch, leading them to the location of the golden egg. After days of trekking, Nolan realized he had been reading the map upside down. Furious, John threw the compass to the ground, but they heard a metallic clink. Digging into the ground, they found a bunker. After entering, they found a stone door with a mechanism. Nolan inserted his watch into the door, turned the mechanism, and pressed the face. The door opened, revealing a Nazi treasure trove. Inside, they found various treasures, including a limited edition Mercedes. As they searched, they found the bishop, who had been following them. Nolan handed over the golden egg, but the female police officer arrived. The three were forced to form an alliance. John provided cover with his gun, while the bishop jumped into a car. Nolan tried to set the car on fire, and John jumped in to provide cover. They sped off into a tunnel, with the police in hot pursuit. John continued to provide cover, but soon ran out of bullets. The female police officer sped up, and a close-quarters battle ensued. The female officer tried to grab the golden egg, but Nolan threw it to the bishop. In the struggle, Nolan was overpowered. The bishop rammed her car into another, and the machine gunner was knocked out. John also dealt with his opponent, and then opened fire on the following vehicles. The female police officer was forced to brake due to an obstacle, and was thrown into the air. Nolan jumped and caught the golden egg, returning to his car. There was no way forward, but the bishop continued to accelerate. After going over the waterfall, they fell into the water. Soon, Nolan surfaced with the golden egg, but remembering John, he put down the egg and went back into the water to save him. However, as soon as he jumped in, John appeared behind him. While they were arguing, the bishop also climbed ashore and started to mock Nolan. Then, she had John arrested. John was handcuffed and taken away. Nolan was shocked and asked, "How could you abandon me?" It turned out that John and the bishop were lovers and had been deceiving Nolan from the beginning. They then left Nolan behind. Later, they gave the gold to a wealthy man in exchange for a 200 million commission. But soon, the female police officer arrived with her team. Afterwards, John and the bishop were celebrating on a yacht when Nolan appeared. He had been found by the female police officer, but had escaped while being transported to prison. Nolan had also reported John and had his assets frozen. Nolan then proposed that they carry out one more big heist. If they refused, the police would arrive immediately. Reluctantly, they agreed. When the police surrounded them, they had already disappeared. Soon, the three of them teamed up again. This time, their target was the Louvre. The movie ends here.